To help explain what and how independent field property adjusting works, I'll break it down with two examples, one being more complicated than the other. So, somewhere in Florida, a homeowner opens a claim with ABC Insurance for fire damage, while another opens a claim with, let's call them Elephant Insurance, because of a tree branch. Okay. Both insurance companies contact Generic Claims Management, whom they both use 4 claims in Florida to handle them. Generic Claims Management contacts Jeremy from Winter Garden, whom they love, and asks him if he can handle it. Jeremy from Winter Garden agrees and receives both claims in his inbox. So he's got claims from 2 different insurance carriers, both coming through Generic Claims Management. Jeremy contacts both policyholders, schedules an inspection for both losses. Losses, or a loss, is a term that's used to describe an event that created an economic loss for the policyholder. First, Jeremy from Winter Garden arrives at the tree branch claim in Lakeland, Florida, about 30 minutes from where he lives. Jeremy determined that wind caused a tree limb to fall from the policyholder's property and land on the neighbor's chain link fence, causing some damage to the top rail, the vinyl coated fabric, right? Jeremy, the independent adjuster, is tasked with documenting everything with photographs and preparing a written report for the insurance carrier to make a final coverage decision. The final decision is theirs. Although Jeremy isn't tasked with deciding coverage, he's expected to use his knowledge of insurance to make an informed recommendation. Jeremy isn't going to write a repair estimate. Instead, he writes in his report, quote, "Because the damage incurred was not to any property owned by the policyholder or covered under this policy, we did not prepare a repair estimate." In this example, the claim would be denied because a policyholder cannot be paid for damages incurred to somebody else's property. It would be the neighbor's responsibility to open a claim with their own insurance or pay out of pocket. Next, Jeremy from Winter Garden arrives at the fire claim about 30 minutes west of the tree limb loss and about an hour in total from his home. This claim is considered a large loss. A large loss is a subjective term used by insurance companies to describe a claim that has a significantly higher than average loss amount, typically more than about $100,000. Jeremy determined that a grease fire in the kitchen caused the 2-level dwelling to burn up. Everything still standing has since been soaked with water from the fire department. The house must be brought back down to its framing and rebuilt from there. Jeremy photographs the roof, exterior elevations, the exterior sides of the house, and every interior room. While taking these photographs, he also measures every room and writes any notes that he'll need to reference later on. In this example, an accidental cooking fire is covered under the policy, so Jeremy will spend the next day or more preparing his photo report, his written report, and his repair estimate. We asked 169 independent field property adjusters inside of our Facebook group, the Claims Adjusters Success Network, which I think is now the largest claims adjuster group on Facebook, how much they grossed throughout the year 2022. When we looked at the numbers, everyone reported earning more and more up until the $250,000 mark. 67% reported grossing over $100,000 per year. You know, most fell between $150,000 and $250,000, with only 13% of those surveyed reported grossing more than $250,000 a year. That's me, by the way. I'm one of the unicorns there. There are 3 ways people will be paid for their work, that adjusters are paid for their work. Number 1 is time and expense. It's just like how it sounds. This is when we invoice for the expenses and, most of all, time to handle an assignment. This is very similar to the way an attorney or an accountant invoices for their time. This is more common when handling more complex claims or commercial claims. Number 2 is a percentage. This is when you receive a percentage based on the total gross loss, or whatever the total amount of your estimate is. You'll usually only run into percentages on estimates that are $100,000 or more, the large losses. Number 3 is tiered. This is the most common method. This is where a flat rate is invoiced based on a tier-based structure. For example, estimates between $0 and $25,000 are invoiced at one rate, while $2,500 to $5,000 is invoiced a little bit higher, $5,000 to $10,000, a little bit more, and so on. If you recall, I said the tree claim was 30 minutes away from Jeremy's home, so there back and forth there was a total of 60 minutes travel time. Because it was wind related, full exterior inspection was performed. He inspected and photographed the undamaged roof, which was 10 minutes, the undamaged exterior sides of the home, call it 5 minutes, and of course, the fence and tree, which was another 5 minutes. He spoke to the policyholder before and after his inspection, which was, let's say, another 10 minutes. Preparing his photo and written report was another 30 minutes. So about 2 hours of actual dedicated work out the door. This assignment is going to be billed with a tier rate structure. Okay, so because no estimate was prepared, Jeremy's only going to receive the minimum fee for his work. A typical amount for something like this can be about $350. So the claims company will send the insurance carrier Jeremy's report with an invoice totaling $350. From there, Jeremy will receive the industry standard normal rate, not anything great, 60%. So 60% of $350 is $210. So Jeremy would receive $210 for 2 hours of work. If you started your day at 8 a.m. and finished at 6 p.m. like most people do, and did this same low-paying claim 5 times in that day, then you would receive just over $1,000. It would be $1,050. Over a 5-day work week, that's $5,250. Over a 50-week work year, that's about $263,000. Basic numbers. Now let's move on to the fire claim. If you remember, it was 30 minutes away from the last claim, so about another hour's worth of driving round trip. But here, Jeremy from Winter Garden writes a $250,000 estimate to rebuild this house. Because the estimate's over $100,000, this one's going to be billed at an industry average 2.5% of the gross loss. Jeremy's trained in handling these types of claims, so the inspection takes about 2 hours and another 6 hours to prepare his $250,000 estimate and report, so a total of 9 hours. The claims company takes Jeremy's report and it attaches an invoice totaling $6,250. Here, your 60% equals $3,750, $3,750 for 1 day's worth of work. If you started your day at 8 a.m. and finished at 6 p.m., again, like most people do, and did this same high-paying claim 3 times a week, then you would have earned $11,250 over a 5-day work week. Over a 50-week work year, that's $563,000. That's almost twice the earnings compared to the last example, but almost half the work. So the next time you hear someone say claims adjusters are paid to deny claims, well, now you know the truth. These 2 examples represent 2 extremes. A claim that's considered a CWAP, closed without payment, and a large loss, typically a claim with a gross loss amount of over $100,000.